Hello. Recently I posted a video regarding Sydney University and how, especially the architects Edmund Blackett and James Barnett had such a important influence not just on the Sydney University precinct, which has very strong connections through the RPA hospital and others to esoteric groups, very strong, blatant uh, undeniable connections in regards especially to things such as Freemasonry, but I'd like to point out another structure, and this is the Lodge Gatehouse. Now, a few interesting symbols here, but its point of this video will be more about the series of unending series of connections in regards to architects and certain sculptors, artists who get these important commissions, these important jobs in these important places. So this is a Lodge Gatehouse. Some of these are shields in regards to the major Sydney University and the major areas, but to focus now on the architecture banner here. And so we see a ionic column, and underneath that the compass and the square. But also on the right hand side we have the right hand side shield, but also the right hand side of that we have economics and the owl, which is very much connected to well, money, and of course this owl symbolism going back to ancient times, but even up to now things like Bohemian Grove. But right next to the Lodge Gatehouse I noticed this sculpture, and well, you see this little banner. It's by Tom Bass. Now again, it never seems to end these connections. So one of the main points people have been talking about in Sydney's history is Elizabeth Macquarie in Campbelltown. We have a sculpture of her, and by none other than Tom Bass. And well, now we go down to Canberra, and just like Robin Blau has these connections across Sydney into Canberra, so does Tom Bass. So outside the Legislative Assembly for the ACT, Australian Capital Territory, we have this sculpture of ethos. Around the base we have this map of the Canberra street plan. The sculpture itself, multiple symbolic references, really goes, seems to be no end to it. But yeah, so Tom Bass, we can include him amongst Robin Blau, has these connected sculptors who are working in this particular form. Again, well, this is the ethos Tom Bass. So just more and more connections. Tom Bass in the right location, right next to other important architects, their work, but also the subject matter of his particular sculptures. Again, connecting deeply to earlier periods and earlier architects, and well, again, the symbolism, the cup runneth over. And so now I'm going to add on, I've posted a video regarding the ethos sculpture by Tom Bass and its connections to Canberra, and I'll just strap that onto the end. So if you haven't seen it, you can end here, but there's just a little bit more of related info if you're not familiar with it. So have a good one. Hello, this will be a short video about Canberra and about symbolism. So I won't be talking measures or buildings, so to speak, but more about how there are other little tricks and symbols and things around that are there to be read. For instance, this ethos statue at the front of the Legislative building in Canberra, in Civic, which is in the northern, or the administrative, more like the retail area of Canberra. And there's a few obvious symbols holding the sun above her head. She also has this poem connected to her, 1961 by the sculptor Tom Bass. But many other sun and astronomical references, the eight-pointed star, the star of Ishtar, Inanna, as well as some plain old sun face there. All these things have an astronomical element to them, symbolically or through the measures, and more often than both. And there's also, she stands on, the sculpture ethos stands on this plate, and you can see this pattern, which is actually a map of the ACT. Canberra ACT as in Washington DC. It's a federal district. It's the capital of Australia as Washington. So here we see a map of the southern half of Canberra, but where ethos is in Civic, which is a hexagonal part of the town. And Collins Park, which I'll get to, and Lodge Ethos. So the Masonic Centre in Canberra, Lodge Ethos 963 is the main lodge there, the main lodge number. So a connection to ethos there as well to Freemasonic, so an esoteric occult element there which runs throughout the whole city. So on the map you can see there's a teardrop park, that's Collins Park, and you can see on the base of the plate where she's standing on, we see that same feature, which is an interesting feature because it has ancient origins. The whole city has actually got lots of hidden elements in the street plan. They're all curvy, it's not a grid pattern, it's done very stylized, and the architect Walter Burley Griffin actually included plants and animals in the street plan. It's no secret, it's part of his design. But the original Burley Griffin pattern on plan on the left does not feature the Collins Park with the ankh shape. It was later maps developed it, and here standing on Capitol Hill where the Parliament House now sits, we get a idea of Collins Park, the circular park. It's basically like an arboretum with trees, and it's in basically where all the embassies and so forth. So it's in a fancy part of Canberra in that way. So in the southern part of the park, it's a round, the rounder part, the circlish part. It's like an arboretum with trees from all around the world, but on the northern part where it forms a small triangle, as the video shows I'm walking into now, it's all oak trees, sacred oaks. Now, sacred oaks go back to Greek times and even earlier, but also in nearby Goulburn, which is another one of these cities with very strong Masonic and Oddfellow links. In Belmore Park, the main tree in the park there was a European oak planted. So it's just a quick look at Canberra and how how little patterns and stuff connect together.